All right. Hello, everybody. This is going to be our January 2019 announcement. This is going to cover anything that's changing in either June, August, and then we'll also have one thing for January of 2020. We're just going to announce it now. That way everyone has a nice long time to kind of process it and get everything out of the way before it actually goes into effect. So we'll let you know for each change when it takes effect, and we're just going to jump right in. So our first announcement is going to be for the bonus program. If you do not know how runs are currently judged at a weekend trial, essentially the entire course has to be run 100% in flow for the entire course in order for it to be submitted as a bonus. And then when you come to championships, things change a little bit. You start doing it in sections. Essentially, championships is split into 4 sections, and you get points depending on how many sections you successfully complete. This has always seemed a little bit off. So starting in August, gotta remember what adjustment I'm on. Starting in August of 2019, weekend trials will now be judged the same way as championships. So each course will be split into 4 sections. It'll be on the map for which section is which. And then depending on how many sections you successfully achieve, that will depend on what your score is right now, and also the DRI of the run, or how fast you ran it. We will announce some more specifics for this over the next couple of months as far as numbers, as far as obviously the best that you can do is in regular, you will get all 4 sections with a DRI of over 100, and that would be a 30-point run. And that's the top, that's as good as you're going to do, that's perfect. But then you can get lower as that, and they'll just kind of adjust depending on high DRI, low number of sections, or low DRI, but high number of sections. It'll adjust how many points you get. Currently, we are deciding whether this is only in the regular class. At this point, it does appear we'll probably only be doing this for regular. Because all other classes are special skills classes, they're typically a lot shorter. They don't have as much equipment, obviously, not as big of a selection of equipment. And we really don't want to lower the criteria for those classes. And also, this is mainly in regards to championships, and championships, the only class we run is regular. So this is really what it's about. So that decision is still being made, but at this time, we're still waiting back for some feedback from a couple other judges. But it will most likely be that this change only affects the judging of the regular agility class in NADAC. Next up, Gamblers is going to make its triumphant return starting in August of 2019. If you attended any of the regionals back in 2018 or some of the test runs, there was a very positive feedback to this for the tests that we did. We got some good ideas for what issues needed to be ironed out and things that needed to be fixed. So Gamblers will be returning. Again, there will be more info posted about this in the next few months. As far as specific rules, it is very different from the old style Gamblers that NADAC used to have back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it is a little bit different than that, but it is still the same basic ideas, what you'd see in Fast or Colors or anything like that, any kind of strategy-based agility game. So we'll have some more info posted about that, as well as for clubs in regards to how this applies for class limits and run limits and everything else. There will most likely be a little bit of a promotional period where we will allow gamblers to go over the normal class limits for a weekend as a promotional, try and get the class out there, get people running it so everyone can kind of see what it's about without affecting a club's normal trial layout. And then after about the first year, year and a half, that promotional period will end, and then it'll have to fall back in line with the normal class limits in regards to number of jumping rounds and total number of rounds. So that is a change we are very excited about. It's a very fun class. People had a great time with it, and we're very, very excited about Gamblers coming back. Should be a very fun deal. Next up, is going to be judges, who will start designing their own courses yet again. If you do not know how it currently works, there is basically a course book, and judges each weekend just get assigned courses. And typically, we don't have a bunch of overflow, so judges typically do not get a choice on what courses they get. They just get whatever they are given. Starting in January, and this will be January of 2020, judges will start. It'll be a mandatory that judges design all courses for all of their assignments. Now, this isn't to say that a judge still can't use someone else's courses. They will just have to essentially pay for them. They can't just use them for free because someone else had to put in the work to design them, and it's kind of a get what you give and give what you get kind of thing. So that'll be very exciting. After this, judges' names will start going on to all courses. You can see who designed what, all that kind of fun stuff. It'll also open up the door for some options that were never really available before. Mixed format trials will be one of the big ones. Currently, you cannot mix a double run trial with a standard format trial. So what this means is if you wanted to run 2 rounds of regular standard format, which means you run round 1 and then you reverse the course and then you run round 2, the rest of the classes for that day have to follow that same idea. So you can do 1 round of jumpers, 1 round of chances. If you wanted to do multiple rounds, you'd have to set it and then rebuild for a second course. With judges design their own courses, it's not going to be such a strain on the course book for a mixed format trial to happen. So that means you could have 2 rounds of regular as a standard format, and then you could have 2 rounds of jumpers as a double run format, or 2 rounds of tunnelers or touch and go as a double run format. So it will really open up the door for clubs to really set the trials exactly how they want to and have a little more fun with them. As I mentioned, judges can still use pre-designed course sets if they choose. It will just come at a cost. And then because of the extra work required by the judges, typically to design a course set for your average judge is probably going to take around 7 to 8 hours. For 1 course set, you typically need 2 to 3 for a weekend. Judging fees will be increasing on January of 2020. They'll be increasing by 50 cents per run. The other reason for this increase is just inflation. As of right now, our judges really don't make anything. By the time you figure in all the expenses and just miss time off work, a lot of judges have to take vacation time to accept some assignments. It's really not, it's not really paying for itself the way that it used to. Couple that with some other issues, mainly inflation. We haven't increased prices, I believe, since we started. Someone might correct me on that because I very well could be wrong, but for as long as I can remember, it has been $1 per run, and I can remember pretty far back. So it will be increasing, so a judge will get paid $1.50 per run. And then as long as we're talking about inflation, we'll also carry that over to the NADAC office side. We will also be increasing the recording fees for clubs in January of 2020. It'll also be increasing by 50 cents. So it'll be $1.50 to the judge, and it'll be $1.50 to NADAC. Now, there's some pretty big reasons for this. One of them is awards. Used to go out pretty sporadically. They were supposed to go out once a year. Sometimes that took much longer. They are currently going out every 6 months, very consistently. And that also comes at a very high increased cost for mailing. The biggest cost of us sending awards is actually the postage. The awards actually end up being cheaper than the postage typically. So when you start sending out the awards more often, it increases exponentially for how much we spend on the awards. And we also would like to start sending out awards even faster than we currently are. Within the next year to year and a half, we'd like to get to where the awards are actually being sent out quarterly instead of every 6 months. And then the grand plan, once everything is really set up and we have all of our staffing figured out, I would like to be sending out awards basically whenever they are requested by an associate member. That's a little ways down the road, but that is one of the plans. Another reason for this increase is that currently, with our number of staff in NADAC, we're basically tapped out. Everyone who currently works for NADAC full-time is putting in a ton of hours each week. And to be quite honest, it's just not sustainable. Eventually, someone's going to break, and then everything else is going to break. So we're just going to combat that before it ever happens, because we have plans of running this for a very long time, and we have plans for lots of growth, and we don't want anyone to get burned out too quickly. So starting around February or March of 2020, we are going to be increasing the staffing here at NADAC. That way we can get emails answered quicker, we can get points up on the website quicker, we can make sure some of our rule books are a little more up to date. Just lots of general improvements. So we're looking to hire anywhere between 1 to 3 part-time employees to kind of increase our productivity level there. So that's another reason for the increase. Also, just general website improvements. Obviously, anything you want done is never free. We have a lot of plans for the website. Starting to do regionals each year is a very large burden on us from a financial standpoint. Last year, well, we won't get into numbers, but it costs a substantial amount for us to fly out a club representative to every single regional. This year, we are also supplying awards for the winners. So it's just it's a very large burden on us financially. And we do not actually get anything from regionals financially. The clubs do not pay us to be there. We go out on NADAC's dime to be there. So that costs a lot. The other thing is with judges submitting courses on a much more regular basis, there will be a much more increased workload from our judges. As of right now, a judge could submit a course set. We might be able to use it in 6 or 7 different places, so a single course set really travels a long ways. But now with judges designing courses for more of their assignments, it'll increase the workload pretty exponentially. So that'll be another reason that we need some more staffing and for the price increase. And then obviously just inflation. Again, recording fees have not been increased since I believe 1993, unless I'm wrong, but I don't believe I am. So I know with these increases, the most obvious solution for clubs, which is what we assume every club will do, it makes the most sense, is clubs will be increasing their entry fees. So a club that might have only charged $9 will have to charge $10. And a club that charged $11 will now have to charge $12. This is fully acceptable because they need to cover those extra costs that are now being incurred to them from NADAC and our judges. And obviously for the people running, if you've got 16 rounds that weekend, it is going to cost you $16 more to run a full weekend with your dog. But we do believe that $16 is going to be very well spent, especially over the next 3 years. We've got lots of improvements planned, and basically all the improvements we've already done on our own dime are pretty great, or at least we think they are. So lots of fun stuff planned, and hopefully that $1 per run increase is worth it for everybody. Moving on, we are going to allow as a probationary test, and this will start in June of 2019, toys in the ring for intro and novice levels, all classes, and tugging allowed, and this will be in all levels. So for the toys in the ring, again, it'll only be at the intro and novice level, and it'll only be allowed as a training run. So if you want to come in and you want to run with your leash, or you want to run with your tug toy, or you want to run with your toy that does not squeak, you will be allowed to, but it'll only be a training run. You cannot earn any points from that run. And then obviously the rules we already have in place in regards to 60 seconds on the course, etc., will all be enforced. Tugging, and again, this is a probationary test. That is very important to remember. Tugging will be allowed at all levels. So there are going to be a couple little rules that will also go in place with this. The big concern with tugging is, well, A, people aggressively tugging with their dogs and hurting them. If anyone who's done any studying on the right and wrong way to tug with your dog, you'll know what I'm speaking of. And just causing issues for other dogs near them. So the two big rules that will go along with this tugging rule right from the get-go is A, your dog's feet cannot leave the ground. So if your dog has a tug toy in their mouth and you are physically lifting them up with your body and the tug toy, that will instantly be an E, and the judge is probably going to ask you not to do that anymore. If the dog is just jumping, that's obviously fine. If they're just, pouncing, that doesn't count. But if you, the handler, are physically lifting the dog off the ground with the tug toy, then that's no bueno. And B is you will not be allowed to tug within 10 feet of any other dogs. And this is just this should be a rule already, just as a common courtesy. If you have someone getting ready to run and you're the next dog in, and they're only a couple feet in front of you, it's really pretty rude to start tugging with your dog when they're getting ready to run. It's pretty distracting. So we're just going to, since tugging could possibly become more prevalent than it currently is in NADAC, we just want to make sure it doesn't get out of hand and people don't start pushing it to the point where it's rude to other competitors. So you will need to stay 10 feet away from all other dogs if you're going to tug with your own. So that means when you leave the exit gate, if there's a dog at the exit gate, you'll need to stop tugging until you are past that dog. That'll also be just to make sure no dogs have any issues also. As I said, these are probationary tests. So in December of 2019, there will be a vote for whether these rules become permanent. And if they become permanent, we will announce that. And if they are voted against, we will announce that as well. All right, I believe we are nearing the end. We just have a couple of miscellaneous adjustments. These are pretty small, so nothing too major. The first one is capping run limits dependent on the number of course builds and rounds. Currently, the run limits for the day are 500 runs per day. The only issue is sometimes the way that you get to that 500 runs can make for a very long day. For instance, if you're doing 8 rounds and you have 5 or 6 course builds over those 8 rounds, that will make for a very long day. Trials that I typically see that have, let's say, 400 runs with that kind of a format will typically start at 8 in the morning and will typically not get done until 8 o'clock at night. They are very long trials. So essentially what we're going to be changing, this will happen in June, is that if you want to run a trial like that where you want to have 8 rounds and 6 course builds, you're going to have to limit your entries to whatever the number will be. Again, more info will be posted once we get a little bit closer to June. This is just kind of a preliminary warning to everyone. And then obviously if you're just sticking with what the standard format has always been with NADAC, which is 6 rounds a day, and then the regular number of course builds, and the 500 run limit is still in effect and no issue. Number 2 is a mandatory refund of entry fees by the club for bitches in season, dogs in season. Currently it is a club's choice. If a handler's dog comes into season, they need to cancel out of the trial, whether or not they will refund that handler. And this will become mandatory across all clubs. They will be required to refund that handler if their dog comes in season. And our last one is going to be judge helpers. Essentially what this is, now that NADAC is starting to grow a little bit in certain areas, certain clubs are starting to run into a good problem to have, and that is that they are right near that 500-day limit, to the point where they either have to turn away people entering. Oops, not sure how we did that. There we go. Sorry about that. Got a little too aggressive with my hands and clicked the button there. So they either have to turn away dogs entering, or they have to, go over the limits, which isn't really good from a NADAC standpoint or the judge. So what we'll be allowing starting, this will actually probably happen before June, because really we've allowed a couple of clubs to do this already when they go over the limit, is there can be a second named judge in the premium who will essentially judge the overflow. So instead of being limited to 500 runs per day, they could go up to 600 or 700 runs per day. and that second judge would just run those dogs, and this would preferably only ever happen in a 2-ring trial. There's really no way to make this work on a single ring trial without being there all day. But on a 2-ring trial, the second judge could run those extra runs in the second ring, so everyone would still get done in a decent time. No one has to turn away entries from anyone wanting to enter the trial, and everyone's happy. So that is good. We like to make people happy. And again, more info will be posted about that. If you are a club and you are in that group where you're either turning entries away, let us know and we'll help you with the specifics. And that is it for the January announcements. It has been an excellent year in 2018. Between our largest championships ever with over 335 dogs, we've had a bunch of new judges added to the list. Speaking of which, if you are a club, you should definitely check out the judges list. There are a bunch of new judges under supervision. It has been just an excellent year. People are doing great, and we're very happy to see everyone being successful in whatever avenue they choose to compete. So we very much look forward to 2019. We've got some big news in regards to the world competition. We've got at least one more country that seems very interested in participating, possibly more. So yeah, it should be a very fun championships this year. So everyone, I hope you have a good day, happy trialing, and we will talk to you later.